Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we haven't looked at a projector in a while here on the channel, but I just got in this new one from a company called Aurzen, and this one is powered by Roku. So when you turn the projector on, it is a Roku. They even give you a Roku remote here. This isn't like a Roku stick or anything, it's just an integrated Roku projector complete with projector controls inside of the Roku interface. And we're going to take a closer look at this in just a second, but I do want to let you know, in the interest of full disclosure, that the projector came in free of charge from the company. However, they did not review or approve what you're about to see before it was uploaded. No other compensation was received, and all opinions are my own. So let's get into it now and see what this Roku projector is all about. Now, at the time I'm shooting this video, the price point on this is under $200. On the Amazon listing, you will likely find a coupon button, so click that because you do get a substantial discount if you click the coupon code, and you'll have an affiliate link in the video description to check that out. Now, this is a no-frills projector for the most part. It's not all that bright. It comes in at only 330 ANSI lumens, so if you are in a well-lit room like this example here, it's not going to be terribly visible. It's certainly usable, but it's not going to rival what you would get out of a more expensive and brighter laser projector, for example. And in a few minutes, we'll look at this in a darkened room so you can get a feel for how it might work when you turn the lights off and maybe lower the blinds on it. That's definitely going to be necessary for the best results here. This is a 1080p projector. It will take 4K media, but it's going to downscale it to 1080p. It doesn't support HDR modes or anything like that, but all of the streaming apps should effectively negotiate the right resolution for this. Netflix and everything seems to be working with it. We'll demo that in a little bit as well. And overall, it's got a nice compact package here. The power supply is built in, so you just need the power cord and you're good to go. There are built-in speakers, stereo on left and right here. They're pretty good. They've got a good range of sound to them, decent bass, but you do have the option to connect external speakers either through Bluetooth or through the connector here on the back. So on the back, you've got a power button, and this button kind of doubles as a control, a very minimal control, so you can switch the inputs and stuff by holding the button down and navigating through the interface. You do, of course, get the Roku remote with it. The range on the remote is pretty good. The IR receiver is right here on the back, and it works in my environment from across the room. You have a USB port here. You can load media onto a USB stick and play it through the Roku media player. This is an HDMI input, so you can plug things into it, and we'll demo that with some video games in a little bit. Then you've got your audio output here if you want to connect up an analog audio output. Now on the bottom here, you do have a small kickstand, so you could get it propped up just a little bit. As you can see, though, it's not the sturdiest of kickstands, but you do have a little one here. But if you wanted to mount it on a tripod or some other stand, it does have a standard tripod mount hole here, so you could screw on a tripod or some other stand and have it propped up a little higher. The projector will give you a good size screen. In this video, we're going to be demoing an 85-inch screen, but I have to keep the projector about 8 feet back from the wall to get that size. I think 85 inches is about the max that you'll want to use with this. You might be able to go a little bit larger in a very darkened environment, but it's definitely not a short throw projector by any means. So why don't we get this thing set up and we'll see how it works. All right, so we got everything up and running here, and it's always hard to shoot these projectors in one of these videos, but the image quality that you see here is roughly what I see with my eyes. In reality here, it's a little bit sharper, a little less blurry, but the color and the overall brightness here is about the same as what I'm looking at right now from across the room. Now, my remote here is working at a pretty good distance. I'm probably a good 25 feet away right now, and it's working just fine. Again, that IR receiver is in the back. Additionally, you can use your mobile app, the Roku remote, with this because this is a legit Roku device. So you have some pretty nice control options here. What I'm going to do real quick, though, is just jump into the settings and show you what some of your projector settings are. There aren't many here. There doesn't seem to be a brightness control at all, so it's at full brightness, I believe, all the time because I couldn't find any way to change that. If I go over to projector settings, what I can do is start the autofocus. This will do its thing every time you turn it on. And what the projector is doing right now is just looking at that image and setting everything up properly. There's also an auto keystone, which will get your image set in the right angle there if you have it propped up on something or it's a little bit off center. So you can run those two things at any time and correct it. You also have an image correction feature here where you can adjust the focus and the keystone manually just by popping this screen up and moving things back and forth. But again, there's no manual control for this stuff. You've got to do it through the app here. Even though you have some manual control, you can't just turn a dial, unfortunately. And then you also have options here for orientation, so it can do a rear projection mode where it reverses the image to project through something. It'll also flip the image around if you want to put it on the ceiling. And it's kind of fun to see all this stuff built right into the Roku interface. So why don't we take a look now at Netflix. And one advantage that this low-cost projector has over some of the other ones that I've tested over the years is that it is certified for Netflix DRM, which means that you can play content back at the full resolution. A lot of these cheap smart projectors don't have the certifications, and either they can't play Netflix content at all, or you're playing at a lower resolution than what the projector's maximum is. Here we're getting 1080p output, which is good. As you can see, it's spun up very quickly. Performance on this feels a lot like a Roku streaming stick, so it's not terribly fast, but it's certainly adequate. I'm going to jump ahead here in the movie and see how quickly we can spin up another part. And as you can see, it pops right up there for us. This does have 2 bands of Wi-Fi that it can make use of, both 5 gigahertz and 2.4, but it is not Wi-Fi 6 or AC Wi-Fi. It is Wi-Fi N, which is an older technology, but for 1080p streaming, it is more than adequate, and it's working fine in my environment here. Now, this movie is also a good way to look at the brightness of the projector, especially with darker content. And this is where I think I would have liked this projector to have a slightly brighter lamp, because even in this darkened room here with the blinds pulled down, things aren't looking as detailed as they could if there was just a little bit more brightness out of the projector here. So at 330 lumens, this is definitely a little on the dimmer side, especially when you've got a larger screen like I've got here. If we move the projector in a little closer, it would probably look a little bit better, but I would have preferred to have had a brighter lamp to allow for a much larger screen size. Now, a little earlier, I tried a bunch of other popular streaming apps, all of them installed and operated as expected at 1080p. So for all intents and purposes, this is a Roku device through and through. Andor here, as you can see, through Disney Plus was able to work at 1080p as well. So no issues here. It worked quite nicely. Now, a little earlier, I plugged in some video games to the HDMI input, and there's some good news and some bad news when it comes to gaming on this device. So the good news first is that you plug your device in. In this case, I was using a Mr. Retro game console. You select your HDMI port like you would on a Roku television, and it just works. And I was very pleased with the image quality. It was nice and sharp. The 60 frames per second video was working beautifully on it. It was a very, very nice image. I was really impressed with that. Unfortunately, though, the input lag on this is abysmal. There must be a lot of things it's passing through before it gets out onto the display. So a little earlier, I ran my usual test where I shoot the output at 240 frames per second with my iPhone, and I record how long it takes for a button push to register on screen. Now, the console that I'm using is a Mister. It's an FPGA-based retro game console. It has the lowest lag out there of anything that you might plug into a television, and this projector had the single worst latency I have ever seen. It took about a quarter of a second for a button push to get registered. That is super laggy. So the result of that is if you're playing games like RC Pro-Am here, you will not play those games all that well because there is a significant lag between the time you do anything and when that action gets translated on screen. So definitely not great for gaming, but if you're looking to plug your computer in to do a presentation or something, that's going to work just fine. It's really areas where input lag is an issue that you're going to have an issue with this. So definitely good for media playback and for presentations, but not great for gaming at all, unfortunately. Now, like other Roku devices, this does support casting from a supported application. So for example, I'm playing a video on my YouTube channel right now, and in the YouTube app on my phone, I can select the casting button, select the Roku here, and it will start casting from my phone to the Roku. And there we go. It boots up the YouTube app, and the video will pick up where I left off on the phone. So that's pretty cool. Something you can do on other Roku devices also works here. Now, one other neat feature of Roku is the ability to mirror your computer, tablet, or phone screen on the Roku device, and this projector works that way as well. So I've got my phone right now paired up with the projector using Apple's AirPlay. And what it's doing right now is mirroring my screen here. So if I pull up my overhead here, you can see as I move my screen around here, it is mirrored on the projector. But I am running Keynote, which is Apple's version of PowerPoint. And if I hit the play button here to start my slideshow, check it out. We get the full screen on the projector, and I can control the presentation from my phone. I can see what the next slide is going to be. I can then also get my notes down here as well. So it kind of works like plugging a display into your phone. So on Apple, it is AirPlay that you want to use. On Windows and Android, you use mirror casting to do the same thing, but it's a very helpful feature, and it's nice to see that this Roku projector is a Roku with all of its features. So overall, I like what they're delivering here for the price point. The Roku interface feels great on this. I like how compatible it seems to be with all the popular streaming apps and all the features that Roku provides. They're all baked into this projector here without having anything else attached to it. So it's a nice out-of-the-box kind of solution here if you're looking for a simple projector and you're very familiar with Roku. I do wish it was a little bit brighter though. So you do need to make sure those blinds are drawn and the lights are off. I think probably a 75-inch display will look a little better than what we saw in this video out at 85 inches. So it's not going to give you a huge image, but in a darkened environment, it should be more than adequate. But just don't expect a lot out of a projector at this price point. But it's probably one of the better ones that I've seen at this price point. The biggest knock against it, though, is the lag when you're playing games on it. It is definitely not for gamers. But beyond that, it is something that I think if you're looking for a simple projector and you like Roku, I think you will like this one quite a bit. That will do it for this one. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.